Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for attending this webinar. My name is Daniela Bovolenta, and my task today is to introduce you to the topic of today's online meeting. December 20 is a United Nations Day of Observance calling us to remember the value of solidarity. For Europeans of my generation, solidarity is the name of a movement that changed the history in a way that seemed unthinkable when it was founded in 1980. Solidarity, in Polish language Solidarność, was the first independent trade union founded in a country of the Soviet bloc, where labor organizations were allowed only if they were strictly controlled by the communist parties. Solidarność was formed among the workers of the Gdansk shipyards and quickly became a national movement, too large to be suppressed by the Polish government without risking a popular revolution. While workers joined Solidarność en masse because of an economic crisis that made buying enough food to survive difficult, the Polish phenomenon could not be understood without considering that 2 years before, in 1978, the Catholic Church had elected a Polish Pope, John Paul II. Poland is a deeply Catholic country, and the social teaching of the Catholic Church was the main doctrinal reference of Solidarność. Many of us remember the images in the 1980s of thousands of men praying the rosary or waiting in line for prize will we hear their confessions during the mass strikes organized by Solidarność. It was the Catholic notion of solidarity and explicit support of Pope John Paul II that motivated the Polish workers in their peaceful struggles. It was a difficult journey. The Polish government repeatedly imposed the martial law to make a public demonstration by Solidarność illegal. In 1981, Pope John Paul II survived almost miraculously an assassination attempt in St. Peter's Square in Rome. Although not everything is clear about the incident, there are now enough documents to support the conclusion that the attack had been organized by secret services of the Soviet bloc. They had perfectly understood both the role of the Pope in supporting Solidarność and the fact that the Polish movement had the potential of destroying communism in Eastern Europe. In 1984, Pater Jerzy Popieluszko, a Catholic priest who was directly involved in the activities of Solidarność, was assassinated by 3 agents of the security service of the Polish Ministry of Internal Affairs. But all this did not stop the peaceful protests of Solidarność. In 1989, the demonstration led to the fall of the communist regime, and in 1990, the leader of Solidarność, Lech Wałęsa, became the first president of democratic Poland. What had happened in Poland set in motion a series of events that caused all the communist regimes in Eastern Europe to fall, one after the other, and the Soviet Union to collapse. It was something that in the 1970s nobody would have predicted. And it all started with a group of Polish workers who took seriously the value and ethics of solidarity preached by a Polish Pope. While considerable violence was used by the regime against Solidarność, the movement remained consistently and admirably non-violent. It was its strength and a key factor in its ultimate victory. The situation of Poland in the 1980s and Taiwan today is obviously very different. Yet, the story of Solidarność is relevant for the Tai Ji Men case. Just as Solidarność did, Tai Ji Men disciples have been able to protest for many years without giving up when it seemed that success was impossible. Tai Ji Men have been victims of different forms of violence, to which they have always opposed peaceful protest based on the principle of conscience, love, and solidarity. Like Solidarność, Tai Ji Men has gathered significant international support. In this Human Solidarity Day, remembering the victory of Solidarność is a way of encouraging Tai Ji Men Dizzy by telling them that solidarity means never giving up and that peaceful movements may change the course of history. Tai Ji Men is teaching us the power of solidarity. Let's answer by showing our solidarity to Tai Ji Men. Now, the webinar will go on with two short videos. One of the yesterday's ceremony and the other is a Dr. Hong speech. Then we will come back to listen to the speeches of some scholars. Please start the videos. Thank you.
Tai Ji Men Shifu and Dizi stand tall with a clear conscience, unashamed and unwavering, despite facing adversity, yet never altering their original intent of serving humanity. Today we gather here to bear witness. The Swiss mountain villa becomes the first privately disclosed site of injustice by a civil society in Taiwan, as chronicled in the inscription, where people wept due to the oppressive violation of human rights by corrupt authorities. Hence, we proclaim this injustice to the world. The monuments serve as a warning, aspiring for justice and fairness to prevail in people's hearts, granting them the experience of equity and justice. Commemorative ceremony is about to commence. We invite Dr. Hong Daozi, the Zhangmenren of Tai Ji Men, to reveal the meaning of this monument unveiling ceremony.
太极门乃古传气功武士修行门派，承传6000多人之道家心源，效法养天地正气，化古今真人之精神，弘法济世，救度人心。未料民国85年12月19日起，遭逢国家公权力破坏之恶逆，阻碍师徒之修道路，剥夺世人追求身心灵健康的机会。平缓之路艰难险阻，终临异秀之境，遗精只剩，断垣残壁，愿难了。整理切身之痛，共体百姓同遭之苦难，深感团结有志之士齐心革除官僚主义之绝对必要与急迫，既众志之成城，必真民子以真言潜之良心时代，如愿而至。皇天在上，后土为证，人权至上，良心本源。见卑济吝，警醒世人，一心为任，浩然永志，祈愿上苍慈悲赐福，仁者平安，义者无惧，良知普现，公理昭彰，万民同享。如治国安，太极门掌门人洪道子是中华民国112年12月19日。
Distinguished guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, good day. Since we entered into the 21st century, natural disasters and man-made calamities repeatedly threaten the survival of humanity. Tomorrow, sunshine, fresh air, biodiversity, sufficient food supply, children's smiles, and security of existence may become unobtainable luxuries. On the eve of New Year 2024, this December 20th, International Human Solidarity Day, is reminding us that the key to the sustainable survival in the future will depend on the unity of humanity, which is a shared responsibility for all. Looking back to the United Nations General Assembly in September 2000, representatives from 189 member states adopted the Millennium Declaration, and the 8 Millennium Development Goals were announced in 2001. Solidarity is one of the fundamental values stipulated in the Millennium Declaration to be essential to international relations in the 21st century. The General Assembly designated December 20th of each year as International Human Solidarity Day to underscore the importance of seeking common ground while respecting differences. It serves as a reminder for governments worldwide to adhere to international agreements and commitments, and it seeks to raise public awareness and practice of the vital role of unity and cooperation. According to the forecast of the United Nations, the global population will reach 9.7 billion by 2050 and could soar to 11 billion by 2100. Each of these figures represents the challenge of fostering harmonious coexistence and sustainable development among humans, the environment, and all living things. We need a compassionate approach to achieve a sustainable balance, ensuring that everyone has access to resources and promoting the balanced use of limited resources so that we can build a world where all individuals can lead fulfilling lives and people are happy, healthy, and content. We must have a shared understanding, and that is, the unity of humanity is imperative. International cooperation to address global issues is a crucial pathway to achieving world peace, with education playing a key role, promoting inclusive education, fostering respect for diverse values and perspectives, eliminating biases and discrimination, and equipping individuals to address conflicts and disputes through communication and dialogue are essential components of achieving peaceful resolutions. In daily life, respecting and embracing different perspectives, beliefs, and backgrounds from individual to international levels through global efforts contributes to the construction of a society characterized by mutual understanding and harmony. On International Human Solidarity Day, we explore the keys to promoting global solidarity: conscience, love, and peace. Conscience serves as a guiding compass in life, while love is a selfless and powerful force. Love and conscience have the ability to transcend differences and boundaries, uniting people from diverse backgrounds and cultures. By embodying the values of love and conscience, we can contribute to the building of a more harmonious and peaceful world for future generations. Conscience is the inner voice that guides us in the right direction, helping us discern between truth and falsehood, right and wrong, and good and bad. It strengthens moral awareness and behavior. Peace requires dialogue, mutual understanding, and reconciliation. Through respectful and harmonious means, global citizens will be able to resolve conflicts, promote fairness and justice, cultivate individual and societal conscience, implement human rights protection, and contribute to the realization of a world free from discrimination and oppression. In the era of globalization, countries must unite and cooperate to fight against disasters and withstand crises. Faced with challenges, it is essential to adhere to the fundamental principles of fairness and social justice, promote global partnerships, reduce poverty, and foster democracy and freedom in order to achieve collective prosperity, regardless of their size. All nations must ensure a balanced global development. Solidarity is essential to problem solving. Through the promotion of a culture of conscience and peace, the aim is for countries worldwide to work together beyond their political stances, fostering a collective mindset for the benefit of themselves and future generations. Solidarity determines our future. Let us discard selfishness and base our actions on conscience. By upholding the international order, eliminating inequality, removing barriers, and establishing trust and respect among nations, we can promote peace and security, development, and human rights. This paves the way for the realization of human rights protection and fundamental freedoms. We believe in the power of love to promote human solidarity. When we treat others with kindness, respect, and empathy, embrace divides, and establish a bridge of understanding, will we be able to strive to build a peaceful world where everyone is valued and endowed with rights. Each individual can start from self, and little by little, personal efforts can have a positive impact on the entire society. Let us build on the existing foundation, unite, and work together to achieve the common goal of a sustainable future. Today, on International Human Solidarity Day, we urge all global citizens to actively participate and contribute, transform the established goals and commitments into tangible actions, embrace conscience, love, and peace, and promote unity in the global family. Let us work together to build a beautiful future rooted in conscience, love, and peace. May everyone endeavor to achieve goals through action. May the world realize peace through solidarity.
Daniela, I believe you can introduce the speakers.
Sure. The next speaker is Mrs. Camelia Marin. She is a Deputy Director of Soteria International. Please, Camelia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Daniela, and thank you everybody for having this event. My speech is very much addressed to how we can learn solidarity from Tai Ji Men. Solidarity is about unity in peace and love. Even when suffering injustice, as it did happened to Tai Ji Men, we can still find it inside ourselves. The current state of the world amidst wars and suffering raises important questions about solidarity among human beings. Being in solidarity is not just feeling sorry or happy for others, but feeling their pain or happiness ourselves and acting for the good of others. Solidarity requires peace and harmony. Where there is no peace, there is no solidarity. Peace is now very much challenged. The world is facing an overall and generalized state of conflict. It is interesting to note that this aggravating state of conflict has been taking place despite many efforts to promote peace. In fact, the last decades have been seen peacemaking efforts than ever before. Solidarity has been proclaimed in diplomatic peace negotiations, summits, the work of peace envoys and international mediators, UN resolutions, and even military peacekeeping forces. Nevertheless, the global state of conflict is only getting worse. Upon a lucid examination, we may find that, in fact, the vast majority of these peacemaking efforts have achieved nothing except more conflict. At best, they have suppressed one conflict, causing it to migrate to a nearby area, mutating and manifesting itself in another way, or breaking out sooner or later with even greater intensity. This is a high price to pay for our lack of willingness to learn from history and to transform our perspective by looking at the universal principles of life. Therefore, to achieve solidarity with a true and lasting peace, what is needed is a transformation of the way in which we think. To find a solution, we must first transform our perspective and establish a new and better system of thinking. In our society, even the concept of solidarity refers to a problem. Often, solidarity is perceived as the mere defense of shared interests and objectives in the political arena or the workplace. When we see in the news a group of citizens protesting or marching in a group or holding up signs and chanting slogans, we understand they are in solidarity with each other or united behind a common goal or purpose. This meaning of the word is used most often to describe a sense of unity within a political group, striking workers, or people who have been deprived in some way of their rights. It is important to broaden the perspective so that solidarity may become a call to recognize each individual person as part of one human family, regardless of ethnic, national, racial, gender, economic, political, or ideological differences. International Human Solidarity Day is a day to celebrate our unity in diversity. Unity always takes place at the superior level, the level of essence, which still allows diversity at the inferior mundane levels. We understand that the differences between people appear on the background of the essential unity. Thus, diversity is realized in unity, and at this level, humanity can live according to the universal principles of the manifestation. When we respect within our own beings the principle of unity, we manifest an attitude of authentic generosity, goodwill, and altruism towards everybody. We should care about the needs of others as we do about our own needs. We will therefore find solutions that will benefit all. Peace is a natural outcome of this principle in action, which enables us to perceive all as part of one large family of nations, the family of humankind. When we speak about solidarity as unity, we also speak about peace and harmony between all parts of the system of the unity. Peace is not seen as something that can be decided or imposed from the outside, since peace is not merely the absence of conflict, it is an inner state. Peace can only appear if we choose it within us. It has to be accompanied by a choice for peace, that would appear as conscious and persuasive for the people involved. To start creating peace, we do not need to wait for a new diplomatic treaty to appear. This is something that we can choose for ourselves whenever we want. Even if the external conditions seem to be unfavorable, even if we are surrounded by violence, we remain free inside of us to choose our actions and attitudes. Peace is always available for us if we choose it. This is the example we learn from Tai Ji Men's spiritual community. Their teachings and practice, their kindness, and their wish for peace, love, and conscience make them united and manifest solidarity inside the group. Their example becomes more and more visible, and others are inspired by them and join their network of solidarity. Beyond all the persecutions and challenges they faced, the belief and manifestation of their inner peace and love made them stronger. With their example, I am more confident that a growing number of people will join the work of producing a beneficial spiritual transformation of our reality by bringing true peace to a world that needs it so much. This transformation begins inside each of us, and then it is up to us to build the bridge that will allow this reality of peace to flow from inside of us out into the world around us, creating genuine human solidarity. When I visited them in Taiwan, I understood that Tai Ji Men Shifu, Grandmaster Dr. Hong Tao-tse, and his Dizi disciples did not accept to pay some unjust taxes silently and move further with their practice. They refused to compromise and stood for the rights and freedoms of all spiritual communities in Taiwan. Today, on International Human Solidarity Day, we can learn solidarity from Tai Ji Men. I refer to solidarity in elevated and elevating ideals in peace and love. And all this come when the human being is free to choose them. Human beings have a limited degree of free will based on their level of consciousness. The higher our perspective on things, the freer we are. This freedom is always ours, and no one can take it away from us. Even in the face of death, or when confronted with the intense challenging experiences as Tai Ji Men have faced for 27 years, we are still free to choose the way we want to face them. After years of investigations and court trials, on July 13, 2007, the Supreme Court found Tai Ji Men not guilty of fraud, tax evasion, or violation of tax codes. Yet, the National Taxation Bureau continued to issue unjustified tax bills to Tai Ji Men and later even transferred the case to the Administrative Enforcement Agency, with the result that land regarded as sacred by the movement was confiscated, unsuccessfully auctioned up, and seized in 2020. In 2009, all defendants had been awarded compensation for wrongful imprisonment. Yet, the illegal tax penalties were not corrected. Still, after the Supreme Court decision of 2007, Dr. Hong and his Dizi continued to be harassed in Taiwan in several ways, particularly through ill-founded tax bills. The Tai Ji Men case has become a national Taiwan tax The Tai Ji Men case has become a national Taiwan tax law and human rights issue. It is not a private problem of Dr. Hong. It is a case raising a question of principle, of justice, and of freedom of religion or belief. For 27 years after its case started, By continuing to speak about peace, love, conscience, Tai Ji Men has been teaching us solidarity both within its spiritual community and among different spiritual communities that support each other, as well as between states and cultural traditions. Today, learning solidarity from Tai Ji Men may help society and humanity to become more harmonious and peaceful. Thank you very much for listening me, and I give back the floor to Daniela.
Thank you, Camelia. And the next speaker is Marco Respinti, who is the director in charge of the Bitter Winter magazine. Please, Marco, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, everyone. Simple, yet not simplistic, hopefully not simplistic way to define solidarity, in my opinion, is to describe it as the mutual sympathy that calls to action, which is generated among the members of a human group by a sense of commonality of interests and aims. Three essential elements are evident here: community, sympathy, and action. They are the foundation of the very concept of solidarity as an irreducible complexity or a system whose interacting parts cannot function if one of them is removed. Solidarity is in fact not just a synonym of commonality. It is the help that human beings offer each other in case of need, perceiving that where and when one person suffers, all persons suffer. Thus, while solidarity is not just another word for community, it is one of its essential traits. A human group is a vibrant community when its members share a commonality of origin, destiny, and suffering, or at least of trials. In this sense, the concept of solidarity helps enlighten a classical topic of moral and political philosophy: the organic correspondence between human beings and society. This topic is normally addressed by stating that society is not just a sum of individuals, but a living body, whose parts, each having its own role and unalienable value, make the organism an irreducible complexity. Known in a variety of versions and also suffering this degradation, this principle has been formulated by claiming that society is a human being written large, or in Greek, a macroanthropos, literally a huge man. The concept probably originated with the Greek philosopher Plato, who addressed it in its The Republic. The word Plato used for what we today translate as society is polis. This is a unique Greek word, conveying the idea of a self-sustaining political and communal body that is at the core of the Western concept of public and politics. As frequently happens in Western languages, the best translation of the Greek word polis is the Latin concept of res publica, another expression quite difficult to translate. We could render it as the public thing, or the complex of human public activities considered as an organic whole. American thinker Russell Kirk was among the few commentators, and possibly the only one among non-specialists, who underlined that Plato's The Republic is not a blueprint for political action. It is rather a philosophical metaphor on the ideal city of men and women. It must not be taken literally, but it serves its purpose best when considered as a mythical description of the theoretical coordinates that should limit and shape public life to obtain the highest level of decency for human beings. Plato's endeavor in the Republic is in fact highly moral. In that book, the Greek philosopher aims at setting the standards that the community of human beings must observe to prosper, benefiting each of its members. And Plato aptly describes the polis as a macroanthropos. The moral understanding of public life has been, this moral understanding of public life has been significantly held in modern times by German-American philosopher Eric Voegelin, and at his school by Kirk himself in America and Emanuele Morandi in Italy. One interesting development out of many possible would be exploring the res publica as a macroanthropos in terms of solidarity. The underlying assumption of seeing society as a human being written large is in fact that the order in the human soul corresponds to the order in public life. Solidarity is a possible, desirable development of this reflection on human beings and their public life. A disordered society is both a mass and a mass of disordered souls. A band of disordered souls can hardly give birth to a justly regulated community. Order, both in the individual soul and in society, is the science of what comes first and what comes next in sight of decent behavior in all occasions. Order promotes a viable fellowships among human beings, a meaningful social experience, even a personal saintly life. It is a matter of priorities and a hierarchy of choices and waivers. Only an ordered community of ordered souls can feel the moral call to share one's neighbor's burdens. Thus, solidarity is not only an action in favor of a fellow human being, it is proximity, vicinity, and care for others in name of that inestimable treasure that is human nature. In Catholic social teaching, solidarity is one of the two pillars of a just and ordered society. The other is subsidiarity. It prevents subsidiarity, the state, from becoming tyrannical and limits it to serving the common good that a human and humane society founded on the natural family is able to detect. It is interesting to consider that all the grand edifice of social and public life, which Catholic social teaching addresses in all its moral nuances and angles, rests on just two principles. One, subsidiarity, is vertical. It addresses the question of power and its limits from the basic bricks of society to the summit. The latter is horizontal, being the measure and the instrument of a good life for each of us and for all. Together, they draw public life and bless it in the form of a cross, which is, of course, the central symbol and rationale of Christianity in a way that reminds American English poet T.S. Eliot's constant reflection on the intersection of the timely and the timeless in history. Tai Ji Men has much to teach here. As a manpai, similar to a school of self-cultivation, it promotes the order of the soul. As a school of spiritual teachings, Tai Ji Men knows that human beings are not only material objects, but a mysterious union of flesh and spirit, at whose center and core is conscience. For Tai Ji Men, conscience is the key to reach the order of the soul and the compass to orient one's life toward its best achievements. Many Desi testify constantly how practicing Qigong under the guidance of Dr. Hong Tao Tse, chief or grandmaster of Tai Ji Men, led them to overcome problems and anxiety, anger and fear, reshaping their life in a more fulfilling way. In fact, this is also a political stand. The order of the soul that Tai Ji Men teaches affects people individually, and those transformed individuals affect society, building a better polis. The intimate relation between the order of the soul and the order of the society is naturally at the center of Tai Ji Men's teachings, and it naturally becomes the disease's social goal, even before they reflect on it. And reflection guided by conscience comes in, and the order of the work becomes a conscious and desired object under the guise and name of universal peace and love through mutual respect and understanding. In this sense, we can say that Tai Ji Men does see the polis as the macroanthropos. The care that Tai Ji Men show for their fellow humans, often bringing material relief in case of disaster, natural or man-made, is the case in point. Tai Ji Men displays and practices true solidarity because its care is based on a deep sympathy for the human. It also teaches true solidarity by exemplifying how solidarity would be reduced to mere agitation if deprived of a deep caring of human suffering. Of course, in case of need, Tai Ji Men bring help, food, water, and medicines, but they never forget to uplift the souls. Many Christian missionaries do. When they first help the poor materially, but address their spiritual needs soon thereafter, and possibly at the same time. It is for this reason that the unjust suffering that Tai Ji Men, Shifu, and Dizzy have been enduring for so many years is the supreme violation of the core principles of a just society. It is a trespass on subsidiarity when some corrupt branches of the Taiwanese government tread on a voluntary community of citizens by exerting a tyrannical power. And it is a violation of solidarity which requires us to offer consolation to those who are in dire situations. Let me just share a final feeling. Most probably, the corrupt persecutors of Tai Ji Men in Taiwan are those who have more to learn from Tai Ji Men. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. And the next speaker is Willy Fautré. Willy is the director and co-founder of Human Rights Without Frontiers. And please, Willy, the floor is yours.
Okay, now I managed to unmute. Thank you for giving me the floor now to introduce the second part of this webinar, which is, as usual, usually devoted to the dizzy. And first, we will watch a video about the fabrication of the Tai Ji Men case by the National Tax Bureau in Taiwan and a specific prosecutor who is behind the whole story.
回想当时这首歌的背景呢，
Remembering the memory of this song, it should be in the year when the Tai Ji Men 1219 incident happened. At the time, Taiwan had several major social criminal cases, and the so-called religious purge was in full swing. All major religious groups in the country were targeted, and Tai Ji Men was also subjected to unjust disasters. During this movement, Ho Quan Zhen, the prosecutor who broke the law and abused his power, arrested and prosecuted Tai Ji Men Shifu for no reason. When Shifu was imprisoned, Tai Ji Men Dizzy began manually weaving heart lotuses, with a total of 16,666 weavings completed.
During that turbulent time, my heart was filled with resentment and injustice. Why would our country be so cruel to us? We did nothing wrong, and the incident caused so much unwanted misunderstanding among our relatives. I believe I have been completely let down by this country, but, after this song was made, it became clear that the thing Shifu taught us was hidden in my heart, and it was love.
Even though the criminal case was acquitted and stated tax-free, the tax bill was not settled as a result of the criminal case, as the Deputy Minister of Finance promised. Even in 2010, the National Taxation Bureau and the Administrative Enforcement Agency worked together and attempted to auction off our properties. For the first time, we stood on Katagalan Boulevard, making the Tai Ji Men case public and officially exposing the dark side of law and taxation. We used the pain we felt along the way to bring awareness to more tax victims who could only suffer alone. We also drew the attention of more experts and scholars to research and speak out about the institutional aspects of the legal tax system and the lack of practical operations. As a result, the Tai Ji Men case has earned the name Law and Tax Mirror. We have begun by defending our homeland and moving down the path of defending democracy and the rule of law.
Through this journey, I have learned from our Shifu that we should love not only ourselves, but also all the people around us.
I have learned to follow my conscience and insist doing the right things.
I've learned to become braver and stronger with bigger love.
Tai Ji Men is determined to be brave for love.
We are really fortunate to have such a brilliant master.
When the Chinese version of the song, Love, was announced in March 1997, Shifu's commitment to overseas promotion always looked forward. Shifu hence asked to sing the song in English. The Chinese version showed the sincere and genuine love from Dizzy to Shifu. To love Shifu is to spread Shifu's love to humanity. The English version further expanded the scale of love and showed the love for the world. The song demonstrated our action of promoting love of the world. The English version of Love has gone beyond the scale of that of Chinese version, showing the selfless love to all beings.
Shifu continues to lead Dizzy to promote love and peace across the world. He always teaches us to do things that benefit all beings. Shifu teaches us to be grateful every day and to pray and bless all souls. Shifu reminds us not to underestimate our thought of goodness, no matter how small it may be. Shifu enlightens our good thoughts and intention to help the world become a more peaceful place. Thank you, Shifu.
Thank you so much for this wonderful video, this great, inspiring example of resistance, love and peace and solidarity. Yesterday was in fact a day of sadness because it was 27 years ago that Tai Ji Men was the victim of a large-scale police operation on unfounded charges of tax evasion, on fabricated charges of tax fabrication, I should say. It was a day of sadness because Dr. Hong and his wife were illegally imprisoned for several months before being found innocent of all charges. The war waged by those who wanted the death of Tai Ji Men was carried out with several weapons usually used by anti-cult movements. First, to fabricate a case. Second, to find alleged victims of Tai Ji Men. And third, to spread fake news in the media. A common technique used by anti-cult organizations is to accuse a group or its leader of violating the law. Sexual abuse, exploitation of members, abuse of weakness, money laundering, criminal activities are attractive issues for the judiciary and the media. And it usually takes years, if not 1 or 2 decades, and a lot of money for court expenses to be cleared of such fake charges. This can easily exhaust the mental and financial forces of a small and vulnerable group. And even when justice is done, or is said to be done, and it is proven the accusations were false, it's too late, because the media failed to mention that, and public opinion keeps in mind the accusations and allegations as the truths. Remembering and commemorating a traumatic event is important for any social group, whether it is a nation, an ethnic group, or a religious community. It is important for the generation who experience such an event like Tai Ji Men, but it is also important for the next generation because it forges the transgenerational collective identity of the group and transgenerational solidarity, while strengthening this identity at the individual level. Yesterday, December 19, was a day of sadness, but the day after, today, December 20, is a day of hope because it's the UN International Day of Solidarity. Solidarity of dozens of thousands of dizzy. Solidarity of scholars in religious studies from around the world. Solidarity of defenders of religious freedom. Solidarity of human rights organizations. Across the country borders and across the generations, a chain of solidarity has been created and has grown year after year to support Tai Ji Men protests and their fight for justice. Not only does the chain of solidarity resist, but it gets longer and stronger with the passing time. Tai Ji Men needs to be praised for having remained strong and united, for not wanting a so-called friendly settlement, as it would have meant to recognize an infringement of the tax law, and to declare that something was contrary to the founding principles of the movement itself, which ultimately would have given the victory to their persecutors. And so with this general introduction, I will now introduce the first Dizzy who will share his opinion and his views about solidarity, Eric Tai, a university student in the Department of Pharmacy. The floor is yours, Eric.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Tai, a pharmacy student. I'm honored to be able to share my opinion in this forum. Today is the International Human Solidarity Day, which calls on the world citizens to join together and help each other, and encourage us to come across difference of races, religions, and national boundaries. The day is to hope to solve economic, social, cultural, and social welfare issues and work together to create a more equitable and harmonious future. Under such a vision, we should uphold our conscience and work hard to unite everyone. However, there are still a group of people in Taiwan who are suffering severe human rights persecution. They were smeared and stigmatized by the media due to the bad prosecutor Ho Kuan-jen, who abused his power to persecute them. They walk on the street to redress of the unjust case which has been going on for over 27 years now. Because of their efforts, the people of Taiwan become familiar with the importance of tax justice. They are Tai Ji Men. I have been practicing Qigong in Tai Ji Men since I was a child. I have seen many so special things here and met many outstanding people. Tai Ji Men has really been my second home, accompanying me to get through many difficulties and to make decisions during my 22-year-old life. I often listen to many brothers and sisters sharing their changes after coming to Tai Ji Men. And I have also seen the breakthroughs and growing of many brothers and sisters after they started practicing Qigong. In this society, that people work hard only for themselves. Such a loving and united group makes me feel very surprised and reassured. In addition to practicing Qigong, Tai Ji Men, Shifu, and Dizi have self-funded trips in 103 nations and presented over 3,000 cultural performances at home and abroad. We commit to promoting love, peace, and conscience, and hope the world's citizens could step across the estrangement of different religions, race, cultures, and nations to reduce disputes and wars. In addition, we use our own cases as examples to promote tax and legal reform and enhance citizens' understanding of taxpayers' human rights and that people face up to their own rights and interests, defend their given human rights. We also urge the government to pay attention to human rights and implement reform through legal and tax advocacy. I have also participated in many performances, including going to India in 2022 to participate in the 23rd International Conference of Chef Justice of the World. In this conference, we convey the positive power of love, peace, and conscience through holding the four power bearing ceremonies, leadership summits, youth forums, campus visits, cultural performances, and inviting people to endorse the three declarations of International Day of Conscience, World Prayer Day, World Day of Power of Hope, etc. We hope to unite everyone's good minds and lead the world to go towards a way of sustainable development. During the entire process, not only were a total of 782 distinguished guests from 17 different countries invited to endorse the three declarations, but we also communicated through cultural performances with everyone by singing, dancing, playing music, etc., to bring the blessing of love and peace and let the world know in us. This is a group filled with the love and kindness, yet it has been suffering from human rights persecution continuously for 27 years. The Tai Ji Men human rights persecution case remains unresolved to this day. Although I have not personally experienced that dark period, I can feel the indelible pain through the shared stories of my senior brothers and sisters. Permitting my youth and accompanying me as I grew up, not to mention my shifu and senior brothers and sisters who directly faced police, prosecutors, and media scrutiny during those challenging times. This pain persists to the present day due to the prolonged lack of exoneration in the Tai Ji Men case. All Tai Ji Men Dizi have steadfastly persisted over these 27 years, hoping for the day when justice will be served in this case. One of the most incomprehensible aspects throughout this entire process is that despite the Supreme Court confirming Tai Ji Men innocence, no tax evasion and no violation of tax law through 3 trials. The National Taxation Bureau continues to issue illegal tax bills without any evidence. And knowing that the tax bill was wrong, they still conspired with the administrative enforcement agencies to illegally auctioned Tai Ji Men's reserved land of self-cultivation, seriously infringing on human rights. A government agency that should adhere to the rule of law ignored court decision instead. Such unilateral action is not only acceptable to the people, but also raise questions about the democracy of freedom of our country. If even government agencies are not bound by the law, does the law serve any purpose? Shouldn't officials who refuse to abide by the law be held accountable? Unfortunately, the Tai Ji Men case is not just an isolated incident. It highlights the suffering of other taxpayers under the existing tax system during the process of advocating tax reforms. This underscores that there is still much room for improvement in our judiciary and tax laws. Despite enduring numerous hardships, Tai Ji Men have dedicated the significant effort to reforming tax law, aiming to rescue more taxpayers from difficulties. We must pay more attention to such cases, acknowledging the value that underline a democracy nation. Simultaneously, it is essential to speak up to protect the right of the people, preventing further infringement on human rights by public authorities. Let us unite and work together to bring order to chaos. Only through such actions can a country progress towards a better direction and create a more harmonious future. On this International Human Solidarity Day, which calls for global citizens to celebrate and assist each other, let us hope that we can truly join hands to, no matter you are authorities or people, harness the power of unity, pave the way for a future filled with honest hope. Thank you for your listen. And now I give the floor back to Willie.
Willie, your microphone is closed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Eric, for calling on the world's citizens to join together and help each other across differences of races, religions, or national boundaries. This is indeed the true meaning of solidarity beyond borders. When you, Dizzy, walk on the streets of Taipei to protest against the abuse of power by the National Tax Bureau, you do not do it only for yourself. You, Dizzy, do it to promote tax and legal reform for the benefit of other real and potential victims, not only for you. And you, Dizzy, do it to make all taxpayers aware that their human rights are violated. And they also need to defend their rights. Thank you for your contribution to this webinar. And I will now give the floor to the second speaker. Mei Wu, high school teacher. There are many teachers today on the program.
Yes, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
It's my pleasure to have this meeting with all of you. And I would like to talk to you about the taxations and human rights persecutions suffered by my Shifu and Tai Ji Men he led in Taiwan. so as to arouse global attention and support our demands to help Taiwan improve its human rights standards. My Shifu, Dr. Hong Daoji, looks strict and self-disciplined, but is actually a warm, caring, and wise man. Since I started practicing Qigong, in addition to receiving the influence of Shifu's imparting the wisdoms of life philosophy to Dizi and guiding Dizi to cultivate both body and mind, I have most often heard brothers and sisters mention the human rights persecution cases that Tai Ji Men has suffered. Because I haven't been a Dizi for a long time, I didn't understand it at first. Sometimes I wonder what the relationship between Qigong practice and taxation's right is. Why is he so insistent? More than 27 years have passed. How long can we continue to persist? But as time goes by, the more information I get, coupled with the internet and some information from our publications, I know that this matter is not only related to Tai Ji Men's reputation, but also related to whether the tax reform of the entire Taiwan is successful, whether the system is fair, and it is also related to the happiness of the entire Taiwanese people. My Shifu uses his example and words to firmly tell all his deeds that as long as something is right, they must continue to persevere bravely. Behind his persistence, what I see is his compassion for all mankind. Because of such persistence and hard work, we can overturn the false accusation, call on people to pay attention to legal and test human rights, and help many persecuted taxpayers to escape from their tragic fate in life and be reborn. By the way, we can help the country make progress also. Only by reforming the wrong systems can the country have a good future. The core human rights in the world is to safeguard human dignity. Without human rights, freedom and democracies are empty talk. The human rights to taxations, which has received widespread international attention in recent years, is the best test of whether a country has truly implemented the protections of people's property rights, existence rights, work rights, and other related basic rights. The existence of religions precedes the state and the law. The destiny of the soul and the essence of life pursued by faith are the basic dignity and value of being a human being. The Tai Ji Men's human rights persecutions case, which has been subject to tax persecutions for 27 years, has attracted close attention from international experts and scholars. It has been submitted to the United Nations Human Rights Council 8 times to condemn Taiwan's tax authorities for abusing taxation as a weapon to persecute human rights. In the Tai Ji Men's case, the National Taxation Bureau's tax filing standards for 1992 are inconsistent with those for other years. The administrative sanctions in the other 5 years have been corrected to 0. Why was it not revoked in 1992 alone? Why can the power of the NTB be unlimited? How can the administrative power of the country actually bully one government and 5 courts? The people have tried their best, but the administrative relief systems has completely failed. It is obviously a fake case and a fake tax bill. But Tai Ji Men's land reserved for self-cultivation is illegally auctioned, which seriously infringes on human rights. The behavior of government officials is illegal. unconstitutional and violates the two international covenants. In fact, as long as the administrative agencies find that the original sanction is indeed illegal, it can revoke the illegal administrative sanctions in accordance with Articles 117 of the Administrative Procedures Act and return the people to innocence. Times has changed, and the government really needs to conduct a thorough review. The culture, ideological, and religious freedoms of tens of thousands of families of Tai Ji Men, 师父, and 弟子 have been persecuted by the governments for 27 years. It is urgent for officials to awaken their conscience, admit their mistakes bravely, and restore the innocence and justice of Tai Ji Men. It is precisely because my 师父 insists on walking the right path, and even when he is being unfairly slandered, he still leads us to move forward bravely. I firmly believe that one day we will usher in the spring that belongs to our whole countries. Tai Ji Men actually is a place where I can regain my vitality. I was diagnosed with lymphoma on October 2020. In addition to receiving active physical treatment, psychological reconstructions also has a very important impact on my conditions. As we all know, cancer patients face an uncertain and unknown future. Because of this, they often feel inexplicable panics and fear. Of course, I'm no exceptions. First of all, during the treatments, the side effects of the drugs not only cause me severe hair loss, numbness in my limbs, swellings, and soreness, but also make me feel very uncomfortable. What was even more frightening was that I lost my self-confidence. I used to be positive and sunny, but after I got sick, I became less likely to interact with people, especially after the level 3 alert of COVID pandemics. I have even more reason to stay at home. I know I couldn't do so, but when I was alone, I still inevitably sank into the abyss of helplessness. I don't like to trouble people, so I don't want to tell my friends and family about my helplessness. As I was slowly saying goodbye to my past, Tai Ji Men brothers and sisters kept cheering me on and told me to practice Qigong diligently. After the epidemic level was lowered, Tai Ji Men brothers and sisters often invited me to participate in activities in the academy. At first, I refused to accept it. I thought that I don't participate much when I was healthy before. Now I'm sick. Can I manage to do it? Will I do a good job? But remembering that Shifu told me to shoulder the duty bravely, I bit the bullet to take part in promoting tax and law at Kaohsiung streets. Tai Ji Men brothers and sisters all get me positive energy for my participations in the activities. Everyone's praise was natural for me before I got sick, but now because I can use my expertise to make some contribution to the society, I felt a warm current flowing into my heart. In addition, I also participated in the short filmmakings about law and tax by my brothers and sisters. It seems like a simple short film, but the brothers and sisters still exert a lot of efforts. I saw that everyone did not care about the time and energy spent just to get things done. And I could participate in it and complete the task with them. The sense of accomplishment is completely different from my own achievements at work. I'm very grateful to my Shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, for leading us to participate in social activities through legal and tax issues. Tai Ji Men's brothers and sisters continue to give me positive energy, allowing me to forget about my physical illness and bravely come out. I will also use such strength and courage to face various difficulties in life. Today is December 20th, which is also World Solidarity Day. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to call on citizens of the world to work together and help each other. I hope that we can work together and exert the powers of unity so that Tai Ji Men and other people who have been treated unfairly can get ultimate justice. That's about the about is my sharing. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, uh, Mei Wu, for sharing with us your experience of solidarity, especially in the midst of a very severe health issue that you went through. Compassion is closely linked to solidarity. And it is never easy, as you said, when being in a difficult situation, to share one's feelings of desperation with others as a call, just a call for help. And when you were severely sick, you had to overcome this psychological obstacle. But when you managed it, you could rely on the compassion of the other dizzy. And this had a decisive impact on your fight for recovery, because your brothers and sisters all gave you positive energy through their solidarity. Thank you again for your testimony. And I will now give the floor to Yi Wan Wu, an assistant professor. The floor is yours. Mm-hmm. Hello, the right picture, please.
Thank you, dear friends, and thank you very much for attending today event. It's an honor for me to be here and share with you the significant things of International Human Solidarity Day. This is a moment of collective reflection, introspection, and activation as we united to pursue global peace, security, and opportunities for shared prosperity. The origin of International Human Solidarity Day dates back to a time when the world was in the midst of turmoil and conflict. Humanity faced numerous challenges, emphasizing the critical importance of unity. On this International Day of Human Solidarity, let us collectively respond to and uphold the spirit of this commemorative day. Moreover, let us unite each day, working together, humanities to confront the numerous challenges that our world faces today. We strive to address this issue and endeavor to rebuild a world of happiness. Sorry, I have some cold. First, let us deeply contemplate and cherish the value brought by diversity. We live in a world filled with various cultures, language, and beliefs enrich our life and expanding our perspectives. However, conclusions, we must strive harder to eliminate discrimination based on race, religions, gender, and achieve true equality and justice. One of the core spirits of International Human Solidarity Days is to raise awareness of global issues. Challenges such as climate change, properties, famines, and disease now not brought and required just effort from the international communities. In this area of information exchange, we are more aware of our interdependence and should collective address these challenges to ensure everyone enjoy basic human rights. Furthermore, we cannot overlook this pursuit of peace. The World Day is referred with complex geopolitical relation and conflicts, but we must unite through illegal and diplomats to resolve this patch. Only in this way can we achieve global peace and create a bright future of generation to come. In addition, our focus should extend to social justice and sustainable development. This not only impacts our current quality of life, but also the future of our descendants. Let us work together to establish a more fair and equal social system so that everyone has access to education, health, and the basic life needs society. In Taiwan, there has been a long-standing injustice involving a violation of social justice. The materials art and assassin culture Qigong practice known as Tai Ji Men was injustice subject to illegal testing by the Taiwanese authorities. The Taiwanese government incentivized by reward for reporting tax evasion issue and lawful tax assessment. The potential with other conducting a substance investigation. Unjustly field change based on false situation. In violation of conscience, they use this force change as the base to unlawfully issue tax bills, size action of the decision action van, and illegally confiscate these them as state properties. My Sifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, the leader of Tai Ji Men Qigong Academy, has consistently insisted on doing what is right, despite facing dual perception in then of law and taxing. He has endeavored to lead us in speaking up for ourselves and others who share similar predicament within the limit permitted by the law. He has fought of justice for over 27 years. Furthermore, in this face of such adversity, he has led us a journey of love and peace, spreading a consensus culture of love and peace. Our goal is to unite all caring and peace-loving people, organized and countries, and at the same time, assist the kindness of more people, hoping that together we can change the correct device situation in the world and move mankind toward a better future. On this International Day of Human Solidarity Day, solidarity let us collectivity pledge to strive toward realize this idea. Regardless of our location or cultural background, we are all part of the global village. On this love and concerned effort, can we create a more humorous and mutual prosperous world. Similarly, we should express gratitude to those individuals and organizations dedicated to promote human solidarity. This selfless dedication and relentless effort toward achieving global peace and sustainable depend gold deserve our appreciation. Let us collectively pay tribute to this pioneer and let their example inspire us to hold conscience in our daily life and make positive contribution. Before concluding, I would like to urge each friend present here to carry this call of human solidarity and commitment back in our daily life after today. whether at work, in our study, or social interaction. Let us all play an active role and become a force driving human solidarity. Thank you for your attention, and let us join hands to create a more humorous and collective prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you, Yiwan Wu, for telling us that diversity should be contemplated as a blessing, in fact. We indeed live in a world filled with various cultures, languages, beliefs, enriching our lives and expanding our perspectives. This is a challenge to mutual understanding, but also a door open to solidarity, to eliminate discrimination based on race, religion, gender, and achieve true equality and justice. One of the core spirits of International Human Solidarity Day, you said, is to raise awareness of global issues such as climate change, poverty, famine, and diseases which do not know any borders and require joint efforts from the international community. Global interdependence and solidarity are closely connected. And now I will give the floor to Selina Liu, self-media worker. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I'm Selina. I'm very honored to join the host, professors, and panelists on this meaningful day, International Human Solidarity Day, to participate in the forum. This day is a moment for us to reflect on and practice the spirit of unity, an opportunity for us to work together to bring a more harmonious and fairer world. From a young age, I was fortunate to follow my shifu in practicing Qigong and learning the wisdom of yin and yang in dealing with life's philosophies. These teachings have kept me calm in an era of information overload. Facing life's pressures and challenges, I learned how to solve problems methodically and maintain mental balance and positive attitude. I'm very grateful for Tai Ji Men to teach me how to maintain my true self in a rapidly changing society and understand the meaning of life. I've also accompanied my shifu abroad for international cultural exchanges, promoting the concepts of love and peace. These experiences not only broadened my horizons, but also allowed me to personally practice cross-national cultural exchanges, experiencing the connection and harmony between different cultures. I learned that love and peace are boundless, transcending nationalities and races, and can quickly bring people closer together. However, my respected Shifu, Shimu, and Tai Ji Men brothers and sisters once suffered prosecution by the Taiwanese government in 1996, merely due to unfounded accusations. The Taipei District Prosecutor's Office conducted a raid on Tai Ji Men. My shifu, Dr. Hong Daozi, was unlawfully detained, and during the investigation, we faced unjust treatment and media misinformation. Even after a decade and 3 months of legal struggle, resulting in a verdict of innocence and no tax liability for Tai Ji Men, the damage inflicted upon us was irreversible. To this day, despite being declared innocent with no tax evasion or illegal activities, the persecution against Tai Ji Men by public authorities continues. The government refuses to acknowledge its mistakes. Lacking empathy, and like the saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. Repeatedly prosecuting its citizens, preventing them from enjoying a stable life. This is why today, when we talk about unity, we must mention understanding and respect. Unity is not just about people coming together to do something, it's about respecting each individual, regardless of their background, culture, or beliefs. Against this backdrop, we still continue to visit various countries for peace efforts, never stopping despite government persecution. My Shifu teach us to persist in doing what is right. In the Tai Ji Men case, we have learned that as long as there is justice and righteousness in our hearts, even in adversity, remain united, and we still choose love and peace. We aim not only to maintain peace, but also to help those who have erred to distinguish right from wrong and return to the right path. Former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon once said, "Unity is the key to addressing the various problems in our interdependent world." We live in a highly interconnected and interdependent world, where issues like climate change, economic crisis, public health problems, and cultures and religious conflicts require our joint efforts and cooperation. And the foundation of all this is human unity. International Human Solidarity Day reminds us that every individual, regardless of their status, race, gender, or beliefs, can contribute to the harmony of the world. When we learn to respect each other's differences and seek common solutions, we can create a better world. On this special day, let us make good wishes to create a more united and peaceful world. Start with ourselves, and start with small things. Every action, regardless of its size, it's a step towards a better future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very well, Selina. Traveling with your Shifu for international culture exchanges, as you said, not only broaden your horizons, but also allowed you to personally experience the possible connection and harmony between different cultures. You learned that love and peace are without borders, and when assistance is needed, solidarity is a must as an expression of love. And unity in mind and in conscience is a first step to solidarity. Thank you very much for your contribution to this webinar. And I will now give the floor to our last speaker, Sandra Chen, Secretary of Manufacturing Industry. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Willie. Hi, everyone. I'm Sandra. I'm glad to participate in International Human Solidarity Day webinar today. While everyone gets used to the convenience of a global village, it becomes more important to stick together. When facing the same goal of pursuing peace and sustainable development, solidarity is crucial for every country. For example, during the epidemic, all countries put aside their original rules and regulations for the sake of defeating viruses in time and avoiding citizens' greater suffering, which is one of the demonstrations of solidarity. If they only cared about their own interests and cleaned up after themselves, they would receive a backlash in the end, needless to mention the uncontrollable epidemic situation. The same idea can be brought to human rights. If the voice of one person, one organization, or one country is not loud enough, then call on more citizens to unite together with conscience, so that issues related to peace and human rights can receive enough attention and be implemented more smoothly. Tax and Legal Reform League is such an organization that collects and shares cases of abusive billing practices so that more people can know better about the wrongly filed tax bills in Taiwan and the severe procedures upon the general public. These cases could be more outrageous than we imagined. To give an instance, Mr. Zhang from Hsinchu received a land value tax bill for her late father. But when she asked her mother about it, she remembered that he didn't own the land after all. Ms. Zhang even needed to refute the wrong tax bill and prepare evidence herself. Otherwise, she would be restricted from leaving the country, which would then affect her job. 10 years later, after all the twists and turns, she finally found out that the National Taxation Bureau, NTB, had mistakenly filed it to her father, and the real recipient was actually another person with the same name and surname. It proved that NTB was not even willing to do a basic investigation, but was only interested in scaring and forcing the ignorant people to pay the wrong tax bill without knowing what was going on. The other exhilarating tax bill case is related to Tai Ji Men. This case has been struggling for over 27 years, which started because of the political purge. Prosecutor Ho Kwan-ren's abusive prosecution came from nowhere, and then NTB issued the illegal tax bill to Tai Ji Men by wrong indictment without any investigation. Due to the press and media's malicious rumor spreading, those who were involved and their families had gone through great physical and mental damage. Thankfully, the Supreme Court on July 13th, 2007 confirmed that the defendants were not guilty of any fraud or tax evasion, and the innocent defendants were compensated for the wrongful imprisonment. It seemed that everything was looking up. However, NTB stepped in and ignored all kinds of evidence and court judgment, and insisted on issuing a tax bill according to the abandoned illegal indictment. Even when NTB admitted their error in the interdepartmental meetings, the illegal tax bills were not stopped it. Tai Ji Men Shifu and Dietz could only express their protest through administrative remedies. Yet, NTB still continuously issued undead tax bills, and they even forcibly and illegally auctioned off the cultivation land in Miaoli. The result of the land was taken into government ownership. It is no wonder that experts and scholars have called this case February 28th incident of the tax realm, even well known as Taiwan's 2019 incident among countries. In spite of the torment from the fake case, Tai Ji Men continues to dedicate itself to promoting and appealing for love and peace. The reliable partners included other nonprofit organization volunteers, such as the Association of World Citizens and Federation of World Peace and Love. These groups aim to work together for world peace, and that's why they initiated the International Public Service Campaign and Year of Conscience and EOC in 2014, spreading positive energy and inspiring the world. I had the opportunity to go to New York with a goodwill delegation led by Dr. Hong Dao in 2017. During a ceremony, every influential key person rang the bell of world peace and love within the positive aura. This not only showed their expectations for the future, but also their determination to choose the good side. This is what we're doing, awakening the conscience in everyone's heart. Lighting a little flame, this power can change the world's atmosphere when sparks gather together. This is also why volunteers, despite all hardships, are willing to travel around the world to spread the power of positive energy. The volunteers have already visited 103 countries for this campaign, and we will continue promoting it in the future, so that the flower of love and peace can blossom everywhere. That's all for my speech, and thank you for having me today. Then I will give the floor back to Willie again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sandra, for your reflections about solidarity. We are indeed living in a global village where it is important to stick together when facing cross-border challenges such as peace, sustainable development. But other challenges like pandemics don't know national borders, and that's where solidarity is extremely important. It is only through worldwide solidarity that COVID-19 could finally be put under reasonable control. And in another area, the Alliance of Fight for Fair Tax is another example of solidarity initiated by Tai Ji Men to help victims of undue and unfair taxation. Thank you for sharing your reflections with us. And I will now give the floor back to Daniela to introduce the next and last speaker.
Daniela, you are muted.
Sorry. Yes, the last speaker is Massimo Introvigne, who is the founder of the Center for Studies of New Religions, CESNUR, and the editor-in-chief of Bitter Winter magazine. Please, Massimo, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniela. And we hear again from several speakers reflections putting together two different subjects that immediately one could believe do not have very much to do with each other, solidarity and taxes. But in fact, they have a lot to do with each other. And Marco Respinti reminded us that Catholic social teaching, which has had considerable influence on European politics for decades, and happens to be a subject I have also studied for several years, is based on two pillars, two complementary principles, solidarity and subsidiarity. And these two principles also govern what Catholic social teaching has to say about taxes. The principle of solidarity requires that all citizens contribute to the common good. And citizens can do it in different ways, but one unavoidable, some can say unfortunately, means is by contributing to the expenses of the state, meaning by paying taxes. Catholic social teaching insists that paying taxes is a duty of solidarity, and tax evasion is a sin. While this part of Catholic teaching on taxes, based on the principle of solidarity, is often repeated today, there is a risk that the second part of the same Catholic teaching on taxes, based on the principle of subsidiarity, be forgotten. The principle of subsidiarity, as we heard from Marco, asks the states to limit their activities to what only states are able to do. We cannot make the courts of law private, or we can, but they will perhaps not be very reliable. But while obviously there are things only the states can do, as far as possible, the states should not invade the domains of local institutions, civil society, families, and individuals. Modern states have a tendency to expand continuously and to violate the principle of subsidiarity. This expansion obviously requires enormous sums of money, thus leading states to constantly increase taxes. Catholic social teaching has noted that state violations of the principle of subsidiarities have two immediate consequences. First, corruption. Second, abusive taxes. The boundless flow of money that comes with state expansionism leads bureaucrats into temptation, and many of them are not angels and they do succumb to temptation. Systemic corruption is both favored by excessive taxation and can be maintained and fed only by continuing to increase taxes. I just came back a few days ago from a trip through 3 countries in Southern Africa. This is one of the most beautiful areas of our planet, and is also blessed with a richness of natural resources, including gold, diamonds, rare earths, you name them. Yet, you can immediately see by traveling through these countries that the majority of the population is very poor. And in participating in conferences and discussing with local people, including top religious leaders and politicians, we heard everywhere unbelievable stories of how high the level of corruption in these countries is. From national chiefs of the police, and in fact, one in South Africa even became the international chief of the Interpol, who were arrested for personally organizing drug trafficking, to bureaucrats who caused the death of thousands by pocketing the money intended for running hospitals. In 2009, for the second time, the Catholic Church organized in the Vatican a special assembly for Africa of the Synod of Bishops, presided by Pope Benedict XVI. The working paper, or Instrumentum Laboris, for the assembly correctly identified corruption as the main problem of Africa. It also included a statement in its number 25 that is, of course, valid also outside Africa. The document states that when corruption is extreme, taxes are also extreme and sometimes abusive. Here we have the second part of the Catholic social teachings doctrine on taxes. The principle of solidarity mandates that taxes should be paid, but the principle of subsidiarity alerts against the possibility that some taxes may be abusive. And when something is abusive, protest and resistance are justified and do not violate the principle of solidarity. It is a fact known to scholars of economics that the extreme and abusive taxes the Catholic document mentioned result in more tax evasion and may make tax increases backfire, because excessive taxes fuel evasion, and in the end, the state ends up receiving less money. Catholic Church has always taught that individual attempts to escape taxes do not solve the problem of the lack of subsidiarities. On the contrary, States can always justify their failures by blaming tax evasion rather than their own corruption. So the most effective way of combating the breaches of the principle of subsidiarity is not individual evasion, but collective protest for tax reform. If extreme and abusive taxes create a new form of persecution, we can call fiscal persecution, organizing citizens for tax reform is a new and necessary form of affirming solidarity. Our webinar today had as its title, Learning Solidarity from Tai Ji Men. And here is what we can all learn from them on the matter of extreme and abusive taxes. Tai Ji Men created a peaceful, non-violent, and effective means of combating tax abuse through its work with the Tax and Legal Reform League. Individual taxpayers cannot resist corruption and abuse. It is only by joining forces in networks of human and civil solidarity that they can achieve results. Although they have not yet obtained the solution of their own Tai Ji Men case, Tai Ji Men Ditsu have achieved admirable results in making citizens of Taiwan aware that the tax system is dysfunctional, and we just heard some examples, and needs reform. They have also made many outside their island aware that Taiwan has a serious problem with taxes. Because of its deep understanding of the role of conscience in guiding all our actions, Tai Ji Men is a school of human solidarity. While we study and admire the principles Tai Ji Men Ditsu learned from their Shifu, Dr. Hong Dao-tzu, our way of learning from them is also to support them in their important struggle for tax reform and for justice. So that concludes the part dedicated to the speeches of our webinar, but as usual, the webinars conclude with videos, and I understand we have two videos, and I believe the video is so interesting that we can make this last webinar of 2023 the little bit longer than the others, and watch the videos. And I take these opportunities, as some may perhaps leave before the video and for personal reasons, and that will also be understandable, to wish fruitful holiday season, Merry Christmas for Christmas, and new year, which may bring justice and perhaps the solution, hopefully, of the Tai Ji Men case to Tai Ji Men Ditsu. So greetings to all, and let's conclude the webinar with the videos.
The Ministry of Finance estimates a tax surplus of over 380 billion in 2023, with over-collected taxes surpassing 2 trillion over the past decade. Is Taiwan really that wealthy? Low wages, inflation, and high housing prices make life difficult for the people, especially the youth. On December 19th, the Tax and Legal Reform League, Action Alliance to Redress 1219, and Taiwan Association for Financial Criminal Law Study called on all citizens to gather on Catagalan Boulevard to defend their human rights. We have 5 main requests. 1. Reform the chaotic tax system. 2. Adhere to fiscal discipline. 3. Implement judicial reform and protect human rights. 4. Promote economic development and distribute wealth among the people. 5. Implement transitional justice and end persecution. Everyone should be aware of the fact that the current economy is really bad right now, and people are faced with significant hardships. Prices are rising in all aspects, while wages remain stagnant, based on statistics released by the Director General of Budget, Accounting and Statistics this year. The numbers are alarming. They state that currently in Taiwan, 50% of the population, specifically the working class, earns less than 40,000 new Taiwan dollars. Furthermore, 70% of individuals earn less than the average salary, which is also less than 50,000 new Taiwan dollars. This is a distressing number, indicating that the most fundamental right to survival for all Taiwanese is being deprived by the existing system. Even though the government has pledged to ensure the well-being of the people in Taiwan, especially for the youth, they have yet to fulfill their campaign promises. Many young people express dissatisfaction with low wages on the scene. They bravely stand up, speaking out for their own future.
I feel that coming here today is truly an act to refuse to settle for the status quo, and it's about reclaiming the future for the youth. I believe it's not just for the youth, it's for every generation. Right now, concerns such as housing loans, this year's average total housing loan amount has increased, but the square footage has decreased by 70 square feet compared to 10 years ago. Also, purchasing a car has become challenging. Like the news about Li Chuhui and the merchandise tax and tariffs, these are outdated tax systems that burden the people in Taiwan. If we don't stand up, especially at this critical moment, right before the elections, when our representatives, these candidates who represent our voices, are most attentive, we must stand up. I believe it's a responsibility as citizens in a democratic country governed by the rule of law. It's about seizing the opportunity when we can make important choices.
Some Taiwanese living overseas return to Taiwan to participate in the event and stand up for fairness and justice.
I live in Los Angeles, and I have just arrived this morning. I specifically came back to participate in today's 12/19 event. I will fly back to LA tomorrow night. I want to show my support for Taiwan's tax and legal reform with my actions. I hope the Tai Ji Men case can be redressed, and I hope that our future generations won't have to live in a world of tax and legal injustice.
Confronting the current injustice in tax laws, the organizers held a Sword of Justice lighting ceremony, symbolizing the spirit of tax justice forever. The goal is to transform unjust tax systems in Taiwan and around the globe, freeing people from persecution by state power.
Stand up, so Taiwan can enjoy freedom, democracy, and the rule of law. This is very important. People, stand up. Taiwan's unjust sites will come to an end. So, the Tai Ji Men case, the next year will be the year of Tai Ji Men's rectification. Our President and Vice President must sign commitments to help rectify Tai Ji Men's case. Fulfill the President's duties, even by applying Article 44 of the Constitution, the power of interinstitutional adjustment, to help everyone get justice they deserve.
This grand event highlights the Taiwanese people's desire for fairness and justice. With less than a month before Taiwan's presidential and legislative elections, the organizers invite all candidates to listen and respond to the people's voices, freeing them from tax problems and make Taiwan a nation that truly realizes justice in taxation and human rights. Chelsea Chen, Nancy Cho reported in Taipei.